Hey, Harry here from the 420 MSP community. We're going around the horn with our monthly check-in with our analysts and contributors. I'm with Dennis James of Medical. So Dennis, welcome back. And I see that we both dressed for the occasion. We've gone hats.
Well, I couldn't decide between the Scotland hat or the Fitbit hat, so I just went with my old standard hat. If
Well,
I took it off, basically I would probably totally mess up your lighting.
yeah, oh, yeah. Don't break the internet. Well, hey, Dennis, last time we did a Hello World about your passion project and also your business model about Medicanicare, where your tagline is learn to use medical cannabis safely, and you laid out a lot of important reasons why that is. But this time, let's double click into a little more granularity. We're going to really maybe talk about retail and point of sale this month, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Yeah, got a question for you. Which point of sale systems are in use at cannabis retailers? What you're out there? What are you seeing?
Well, first, let me give you the nickel tour. Basically, Medicanicare, what it does is we work with seniors and other people that need to know about medical cannabis, in particular, not recreational. And so what this business is built on is I go to senior events and other kinds of events, communicate to them how they can do medical cannabis safely and things along those lines. So needless to say, I'm in a lot of senior organizations, but I'm also in a lot of retailers, cannabis retailers.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to think, just a couple years ago, there was practically nobody doing this, and it was a Wild West. And now, if you look at it, there's in the state of Washington, they've licensed 429 individual stores, and that includes multiple locations, and 195 of those are registered as medical cannabis stores, which means that they've gone through the state's information and training and all that kind of stuff.
That's right. That's right.
So I went into a couple of my cannabis retailers and I said, okay, just want to figure out, what's going on in terms of what you guys are using. And this is some good information because a couple of years back, the cannabis industry had a little blow up in terms of tracking and things like that. So now, basically, at that time, they brought out what they call BioTrack, and you can look that up. It's biotrack.com. It's the older one. They claim to be in business for 10 years, and there's some challenges with it, though, errors and things like that. And then there's another one called GreenBits, GreenBits. Okay. And that's kind of like the newer upgrade, a little bit better. And most of them are using one of those two. The best opportunity, quite frankly, is when they're using BioTrack because there's so many challenges with it. Can
I ask you a question? Because I want to make sure I'm both a student and hold myself out to be a technology expert in the field, and the truth is in the middle. But now are these the traceability tools to report to the state of Washington, or are these the point of sale software where you would purchase your peanut butter cups? What are these two software applications you just discussed?
Well, it's actually a bit of both of those things, because one of the challenges that everybody has is they send in inspectors quite regularly, just like they do for liquor, and they come in and they inspect and things like that. And the POS has got to be able to manage a few important things. For example, failure to utilize or maintain traceability is something that they can give you a violation on. Plus there's advertising, improper record keeping, and other kinds of things like that. So the POS has not only got to take the cannabis sale in the store, but it's got to maintain this information because state asks them, says, okay, give us your information. And if it's not right, boy, they get dinged pretty hard, and sometimes they don't even get to stay open for a period of time. They could be closed for a couple of weeks or even a month.
Yeah. On the point of sale applications, and again, maybe you're not having this conversation, but are you hearing about trees with the letter Z? Are you hearing about Dauntless? Are you hearing about some of the traditional point of sale, make the order entry, hit enter, close the transaction, take the money, almost like a restaurant. Think of a restaurant.
Well, it's interesting because I haven't heard Dauntless out there,
Okay.
but it is, whatever software product will provide the kinds of reports that the state wants. Basically, they're open to letting you do it. It is 100% up to the retailer to use whatever software tool and POS they want to.
Yep. Because that's been a coverage area for us, obviously, because the 420 MSP is managed service providers and in tech. I guess what I'm hearing you say is that the POS, the conversation we're having, can help protect the retailers from being dinged, as you say, by the state. I mean, that's what we're really talking about today.
Oh yeah, and then plus just being able to keep the record straight, make the purchases easy. If you go in and somebody's using BioTrack, that's a big hint. They're cursing half the time because I'm a medical cannabis guy. And so when I come in, now all of a sudden they've got to figure out how to work with this, and it typically screws up when I come in, and they're trying to record it. So anything that gets it done quicker, because you can't believe the sales that these people are doing. I mean, totally, when I look at some of the numbers and the opportunity that's in cannabis and medical cannabis, in 2015, they sold $260 million worth of pot, and then it increased.
And what's is that USA or state of Washington, or what's the geography?
Just the state of Washington.
State of Washington. Okay, thank you.
And in 2016, it was 786 million. And then, we got into the billions in 2017 in terms of like this. I think that's 1,371,862, kinds of things. And then plus in 2018, we're going to have a pretty good rocket year. It is going down slightly. From 2016 to 2017, it went from a 67% increase from 2015 to a 43%, but now we're starting to talk about big numbers, right?
Well, yeah, so, law of large numbers, right? Only Microsoft can beat the law of large numbers with their recent annual earnings report last week. But
yeah, true.
Little humor. Hey, Dennis, I have an observation, maybe a question. In my research for the book, I was curious in the average retail. Now, this would have been recreational and or a medical transaction size. And when I started my research, and this was strictly anecdotal, just talking to some people, the feeling is that every person you see walking into that dispensary is spending $100 on average. Now, this would have been about 18 months ago. Now, about 3-4 months ago, I went into a dispensary, so I don't have a great research bed, and maybe you can help me fill this in. And I said, every person I see in the store, or every car that pulls up, are they spending $100? And she said, no, that's declining. She said, here in Bremerton, Washington, it's probably $30 every time a car pulls up. And mathematically, Dennis, I look at it as the over the long term, your return to the mean, right? That there's going to be this declining curve over the long. There's the hype, right, that we probably started the industry with, and then it's going to just return to the mean over the long term. And that made sense, that maybe early on in legalization, people were kind of building up their liquor cabinet, as it were, and going to Costco. You get my analogy. And then now it's like, hey, honey, I'm going to stop by on the way home and pick up a 10-pack of peanut butter cups. Well, that's $30.
Yeah. Well, let me throw this into you, because those are great observations, and those are fairly flat in terms of use. I think that might be occurring, but there's a kind of a different way to look at it. Okay. There's three kinds of customers that walk into a cannabis store. And if it's a medical cannabis store, that kind of adds a little bit to it too. But the first customer, they go in and they will make that single purchase for the weekend. They'll
Right.
come in on a Friday and they'll buy like a $3 doobie, and that's a marijuana cigarette for those of you who are not in the know. But it's also, they're not going to spend much. They're just basically what I call a hit and run customer. And their sales are very low. I mean, $10, maybe $30 if they're buying a vape or something like that. Then you have what I call like the brand oriented. They'll walk in, and again, this only happens maybe once every month and a half. They'll buy $80, maybe $100 worth of a particular new, just like a wine, a varietal of cannabis.
Yeah.
But literally the most important out of all these is people that come in and buy medical cannabis. I can tell you for myself, I spend probably $300 a month every month, because medical cannabis has a whole different spin to it. Whereas with the other two kinds of customers, what you've got is, they're kind of hit and run a little bit, but the medical cannabis, every time, they're going to go back to that store, they're going to find that bud tender, and they're going to spend, and if there's two of them, it could end up being even more than that. So that's where your revenue is. And there's 195 stores that do that, but about 40 of them do that consistently with high medical cannabis numbers.
Yeah, and Dennis, what I'm doing, we keep it real here on the air. I'm over here in OneNote, and for our next show, I want to double click down into the transaction volume and pricing. I'm just writing that out. I'll work with you on the research, but I think that could be a really cool show to do a little bit of research. I will take it upon myself to talk to a select sample of retailers and so on, and maybe yourself. Hey, before we go, high level question, what's it like dealing with cannabis retailers, business acumen, culture, education levels?
Well, it's kind of interesting because I come from, like, as big companies, the VP of marketing or whatever else, right?
We forgive you. By the way, we forgive you for those transcripts.
Thank you. But when you go in, at first you kind of think, okay, I'm just going to meet, the hippie guy and things like that. But, you see business people doing this. It's a great investment, so a lot of larger organizations, one of their board members will be, like a guy that's put a lot of money into getting those two stores up. So, and I find the majority of them are pretty good in terms of being good business people too.
Good.
I mean,
I'm encouraged by that.
they can, if you walk in and you say, hey, look, I've got a product that's going to save you X dollars, it's going to help prevent, these kinds of violations from happening, they're going to listen to you. So that's my opinion. They listen to me, and good God knows why.
Now you paid your dues, my friend. You have paid your dues, and you give more than you take. So you need to hear that, because
thank you.
Yeah, you don't none of us hear that as much as we should. Now maybe some of us take more than we give, and that's why we don't hear it. But
yeah.
So, well, hey, my friend, we've reached the end of our time, and you and I are off to a workshop a little bit later about 5 steps to be in this industry. So we'll also make that a talking point in August, right? Let's get together in about 8 hours, soak up the workshop, see what it's worth, folks. It's in Bellevue, Washington. By the time you see this, it will have occurred, but we will give you a full report. And Dennis, enjoy fishing season and all that Seattle brings in August, my good friend.
I will, man. You take care.
All right, Jenny in the radio control room, thanks as always. Folks, Harry at the 420 MSP, thank you for supporting us. Have a great day.